All right, my munchkins, are we ready for tonight's book? You got your pajamas on, you're in bed, you're all tucked in, and we're ready. So let's get this going. So our book for tonight is Did I Ever Tell You How Lucky You Are? Of course, we're on a Dr. Seuss roll, so let's keep it going. All right. Here we go. When I was quite young and quite small for my size, I met an old man in the desert of Dries, and he sang me a song I will never forget. At least, well, I haven't forgotten it yet. He sat in a terribly prickly place, but he sang with a sunny, sweet smile on his face. When you think things are bad, when you feel sour and blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I do. Just tell yourself, Ducky, you're really quite lucky. Some people are much more, oh, ever so much more, oh, muchly, much more unlucky than you. Be glad you don't work on the Bungle Bung Bridge that they're building across Boober Bay at Bum Ridge. It's a troublesome world. All the people who are in it are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful, a whole heaping lot, for the places and people you're lucky you're not. Just suppose, for example, you lived in Gazette and got caught in that traffic on Zet Highway 8. Ooh, you're getting good on this. Look at all those people on the highway. That looks like California. Or suppose, just for insurance, you lived in Gazer with your bedroom up here and your bathroom up there. Look at that. Suppose, just suppose you were poor Herbie Hart, who has taken his throne dimbulator apart. He never will get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the geek or the gore fits into the scrux or the snucks or the snore. Yes, Ducky, you're lucky you're not Herbie Hart, who has taken his thrum dimbulator apart. Think they work too hard? Think of poor Ali Sard. He has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard, and it's quick growing grass, and it grows as he mows it. The faster he mows it, the faster he grows it. And all that his stingy old uncle will pay for his shoving that mower around in that hay is the piffless pay of 2 duklas a day. And Allie can't live on such piffless pay, so he has to paint flag poles on Sundays and grooves. How lucky you are you don't live in his shoes. And poor Mr. Bix, every morning at 6, poor Mr. Bix has his borfin to fix. It doesn't seem fair, it just doesn't seem right. But his borfin just seems to go slump every night. It slumps in a heap, sadly needing repair. Bix figure it's due to the local night air. It takes him all day to unslump it, and then the night air comes back and it slumps once again. So don't you feel blue. Don't get down in the dumps. You're lucky you don't have a borfin that slumps. I guess that's a borfin. And while we are at it, consider Schlotz, the crumple-horned, web-footed, green-bearded Schlotz, whose tail's entailed with unsolvable knots. If he isn't muchly more worse off than you, I'll eat my umbrella. That's just what I'll do. And you're lucky, indeed, you don't ride on a camel. To ride on a camel, you sit on a whammel. A whammel, you know, is sort of a saddle, held on by a button that's known as a faddle. And boy, if your old whammel faddle gets loose, I'm telling you, Ducky, you're gone like a goose. Goodness. And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser, I-dotter. He has to cross T's and he has to dot I's in an I and a T factory out in Van Nuys. See, he's crossing T's and dotting I's. Oh, the jobs people work at out west near Hotch. There's a Hotcher bee watcher. His job is to watch, is to keep his eyes on the lazy town bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he watched and he watched, but in spite of his watch, that bee didn't work any harder. Not much. So then somebody said, I think it's about time for me to go to bed. Our old bee watching man just isn't bee watching as hard as he can. He ought to be watched by another Hotcher. The thing we need is a bee watcher. Well, oh look, all the bee watchers. The bee watcher watched the bee watcher. He didn't watch well, so another watcher had to come in as a watcher. And today all the hotchers who live in hotch are watching on watching the watcher who's watching that bee. You're not a hotch watcher. You're lucky, you see. You're lucky. And how fortunate you're not Professor Debris, who has spent the past 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish ducks how to read Javanese. And think of poor puffing flugelhorn players who have to parade down the flugelhorn stairs every morning to wake up the Prince of Pooh-Boken. It's awful how often their pugles get broken. See, they're going down the stairs. My goodness. And oh, just suppose you were poor Harry Haddo. Try as he will, he can't make any shadow. He thinks perhaps something's wrong with his giz, and I think that, by golly, there probably is. See? No shadow. Everybody has shadows. And the brothers Bazoo, the poor brothers Bazoo. Suppose your hair grew like theirs happened to do. You think you're unlucky? I'm telling you, Ducky, some people are ever so muchly more unlucky than you. And suppose that you lived in the forest in France, where the average young person just hasn't a chance to escape from the perilous pants-eating plants. But your pants are safe. You're fortunate, guy. You ought to be shouting, how lucky am I? Oh no, he's got his pants. And speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladish you're not Farmer Falkenberg's 17th radish. And you're so lucky you're not Gucky Gown, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town in the ruins of Ronk. Ronk is rather run down. And you're so lucky you're not left behind mistake in the caverns of Croc. See, there's the sock. Thank goodness for all the things you are not. Thank goodness you're not something someone forgot and left all alone in some punkerish place, like a rusty tin coat hanger hanging in space. See, the lonely hanger. Goodness gracious. That's why I say, Ducky, don't grumble, don't stew. Some critters are much more unlucky than you. The end. So don't forget, you are lucky. Good night, my munchkins.